One of the most frequent questions I get is, how do I start? How do I open my art journal, end up on a blank page, and just draw a blank for a blank? And so today I wanted to share one of my favorite things that I do to get started when I come to an art journal, when I'm not sure what I want to do, when I'm, literally drawing a blank. Okay. And I'm going to share that with you today. So stick around. And hi, I'm Concy from atop Serenity Hill, in case you're new here. If you're not, welcome back. And thank you so much for always joining this community and watching my videos. I am also the host of a membership called The Creative Playground. I consider it a very encouraging, no pressure, delightful community. It is a space where I help creatives embrace play, curiosity, imperfection, messy, try, see what happens, the big what if, and just have a good time, play, have fun in your art practice. So this journal that I'm actually flipping through just casually while we're talking here is a journal that I made for the membership, the lesson on how to create it, and many of these pages are in our classroom. And if you would like more information about my membership, the link is below. Check that out. So here's our little playtime for today. What happens when you're flipping through your journal and this shows up, the blank page? And so how do you start? What do you do? Not everyone has that problem. A lot of people just pick up whatever's handy, whatever's around on their table, and just jump in. But it does paralyze so many people. And one of the best ways I have found to help with that blank paralysis, the I don't know what to go forward, is prompts. I will just say that a million times. I love prompts. So I have this prompt deck, which you can find below. It is a printable in my Etsy store, called the Creative Simplicity Prompt Deck. There's about 70 prompts in here. And that's what I encourage you to do. Grab a prompt. It doesn't have to be my prompts. They can make up prompts. It could be a list of challenge prompts from somebody else. But find a way to have some kind of prompt tool in your toolbox. Okay. So today I'm going to work through, since I keep, I'm dropping the prompts all over the floor. Since I, have this blank page here, I'm going to work through this little blank page, and I'm going to work through it with the prompts. Let's actually pop them back in their little bag here. Grab the ones that fell on the floor. And I have put out absolutely nothing in my studio. Usually I have a bunch of supplies out, and I actually have, supplies around me because of my studio table, but I'm going to work through some prompts and just show you how would I start. So first prompt, stencil. So let me grab a stencil. All right, so I have a stencil. You could use watercolor, acrylics, whatever floats your boat. So let me put my prompt to the side. I just grabbed a stencil. I have a ton of stencils. I just grabbed one. I didn't try to make it the perfect stencil. I just grabbed a stencil. Okay. I also have a makeup sponge, and I'm going to use watercolor, mostly because it is available and I love watercolor. So why not go with, I'm not trying to overthink this. So the only thing that I might think through is, one, I might stick a piece of paper under here. Just so that it's a little less go everywhere. So I've got my stencil. There you go. And I've got my watercolor. There is some color on this page already, so why not pick that up? So that's how I think through things. I'm looking at what's available on the page. Was there something on the page? If you're like literally in a a blank page where nothing around it is got any color, so you have nothing to draw from, then what's your favorite color? Start with that. Don't overthink it. I don't care if you've used, bright purple 300 times already and you're like, I just don't want to use purple again. Okay, well, what's your least favorite color? What's a color you never seem to pick up? Grab that. Don't overthink it. Just begin. You have to start somewhere. And if you overthink the beginning part, that's when the paralysis happens. That's where the prompts can show up and tell you, try this, try that. All right, let's see what the next, I'm trying not to, I can see the camera with my hand, so splatter. All right, so the next thing says splatter. How do you like to splatter? What's around you that you could splatter? I've got watercolor sitting here and it's handy. Now, for me, a couple things you can do. For me, there's a page next to this. So I could pick a color from this as inspiration. My actual prompts have color on them. Is there something on it that I'm like, ooh, I like this blue. I'm loving this turquoise. There's some blue here. Well, that could kind of match. Okay, let's try that. Not overthinking it, just picking it up and going for it. It doesn't have to be, some crazy prompt. It doesn't have to be, I have to find the perfect amount of splatter. That's none of that. This is play. This is play and just seeing what happens. Okay. So now I've got this. I have a couple options. One, I could dry it. Two, I could see what the next prompt says because it might inform the splattering. Or three, I could just stick a paper towel or another piece of paper on top of it and use it to start another page, okay? So I'm going to pull a prompt first because you just never know. Purple. That does not help me with the splatter, all right? So I also love the idea of seeing what might happen if I just stick another piece of paper on top. So I'm going to grab another piece of paper. Okay, I have some deli paper sitting that I scraped some excess paint onto. So yes, you could dry it, but what else can you do? Where else can you follow that curious spirit? Okay. And in doing this, I'm now creating a more, let's go mess. It's a bit messy and it's going everywhere. And I've got some extra color on here and that's a good thing. Okay. It's just creating the next layer. So the next thing that I pulled, remember, was the word purple. What's the first thing that's purple that pops into your mind? Is there a piece of collage paper that is, floating around your table? Is there a colored pencil that you could pick up? Could you just grab a paint marker, which I think I'm going to do. So I have my paint markers in this lovely zipped pouch, and I'm going to just look for my purple. There it is. And it doesn't matter what you do. Just do. All it said was purple. Okay? And whatever pops in your head, go with it. And I know, some people are like, well, nothing pops in my head. Okay? So what was on the next page? On the next page was a spiral. I could have just done a spiral, which, there you go. Okay, what was on the prompt? There was dots on this. I could have done a bunch of dots. What is on the actual supply you picked up? Okay, there is no right or wrong way to do this. There's just doing and layering and building and just seeing what happens. And if as you're going, I'm grabbing another prompt. It says attach. If as you're going, another idea comes to you that has nothing to do with the prompts and you don't need the prompts anymore, just go with it. The prompts are just a way for you to get started and see what happens. And then, the prompts are interpreted how you want them to interpret. You could have pulled the word purple and you were like, no, what I really need? I need hot pink. But what it did was it got you to the next step, and that's what's important, okay? All right, I'm going to keep playing, and I'm just going to put on some music and keep pulling some prompts until I don't need them anymore, and we'll see where this goes in the end. Okay, so I went through all the prompts. I just kept pulling until there seemed no more to say. That's how I kind of know that I'm done, is when it stops talking. I don't feel the need anymore to pull a prompt. That is a personal thing, and it has come from experience of listening. Oh, piece of paper. Listening to my work and kind of paying attention. So, a couple things that showed up were very generic prompts, like the word mix. What does that mean? And I just kind of just mixed paint around. The word accent also showed up. So they weren't exact things like a stencil or like stapler, which is the last prompt that showed up. So the word accent. So what does it mean to accent something? And, prompts are meant to help you try new things and see where it goes, like wordplay. If you're not sure, if you pull a prompt and you're like, I have no idea what that means, I do things like I go to Google and I would put the word accent in and see what other words show up, what other synonyms. Do a synonym, not cinnamon, show up. What other words pop up that maybe mean something more to me? Because just because I wrote the word accent doesn't mean that that resonates with you. So go and, what other synonyms mean accent, okay? So when I was pulling out all these threads, I keep a jar of loose ribbons and threads because you never know when you need a little something, something. And this absolutely adorable little tiny green feather was stuck in the threads. Y'all. That was, delightful. The other beautiful thing about this is it then tied page here and here together. Okay? That is something to also pay attention to, what's sitting around, especially with something like a junk journal where you can see all these other pages peeking out from underneath. So how can you pull from what's peeking out from underneath? That's, that I love that about a junk journal where the pages are, all over the place, just kind of rolled up and messy. And you can see how they're rolling back on each other because of how I've manhandled the journal. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So use prompts, get yourself started with a prompt. See how far you can go. Like, how many prompts can you put on a page? Turn it into a game. So for today, we used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 prompts. Okay. And then I felt like I was done. But if you're on a bigger page or you just want to play with the what ifs and curiosity of the prompts, how many prompts can you do? Like, what's the tiniest thing you could do as an accent? What's the tiniest thing you can attach? What's the tiniest bit of purple that you can use? And see how crazy you could go with your prompts. Again, turn it into a game. There's no right or wrong. There's no, this is the answer. These are all just suggestions. I do have one more video, which I will link below on, I think it's 9 different ways to actually start an art journal page, not necessarily with prompts, but different techniques that you can do to just get yourself started. So that's below and you can dive into that and see what happens. But again, try prompts. Okay. You could go and I just went through and did prompts. So why don't you, if you're not, if you don't have this prompt decked or you don't have prompts, just go through the video again, pull up the different prompts that I used, write them on a little slip of paper, put them in a little basket or a jar, and pull these 8 prompts in different orders and see how many different ways can you put these 8 prompts together and how many different pages can you come up with. Maybe use a little zine and a small little art journal that you can work in. All right. Thank you so much for playing along. I hope that it gave you some inspiration on one of the biggest questions again. How do I get started? What happens when I go blank at the blank page? Start with prompts, my friend. Start with prompts. Let me know below if you are a fan of prompts. Do you use prompts? Is there another way that you help yourself get started on an art journal page? Put it in the comments below so you can help other people with ideas other than just mine. And if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. That's always helpful. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification button. And stick around. Watch another video or come back and I will see you in more videos. All right, friends. Thanks so much. Have a great day.